Hi everyone, welcome to another 30 minutes Pilates. Today we're going to have a full half an hour of mobility focus. So you're going to need to grab yourself a yoga block or something very similar. So it's not very heavy, but roughly a similar size. A water bottle would do, or just a book. Even a DVD case would be absolutely fine. Anything roughly a similar size. So pop it down to the side somewhere near to you, and we're going to get started with our setup. So we're going to start with our feet together. We're going to turn our toes out and we're going to take our heels out to join them too. Now I want you to think about grounding down through your big toe, your little toe and your heels. So just equally distribute your weight through your feet. Moving up to our knees, we're going to have them nice and spongy, so just give them a little bit of a wiggle. Moving up to our hips, we want to imagine we've got two little headlights on the front of our hips. They're facing forward and they're on. Inside our pelvis, we're going to imagine we've got a bucket of water that's really full, and we're going to keep that nice and level and still. So we're not going to hike the hips either side, and we're not going to tilt them too far forward or backwards. So you may just need to tuck the pelvis under slightly. Up to our midsection, we're going to have a little bit of tension in this core here. So pull the belly button back towards the spine slightly. You want to be roughly about 30%. Our ribs, we're going to think about knitting the ribs down into the pelvis too. So we're not flaring the ribs out as we breathe, we're keeping those down, we're getting this core working nicely together. We're then going to take a deep breath in through our nose. As we do that, we're going to pick our shoulders up towards our ears, we're going to push our shoulders back, and we're going to breathe out through our mouth. So in through our nose, back, out through our mouth. Fantastic. We're going to do this a couple of times. So we're picking them up to our shoulders, really squeezing them down our back. So we're making the movement bigger each time. Working into the shoulders, warming them up. Okay, we're going to do this 2 more times. And we're going to slide them down our back. Fantastic. I want you to keep the whole of the body nice and still. We're going to do our neck mobility, so we're going to turn our head from side to side. We're keeping the chin parallel to the floor. And still breathing in through our nose and back out through our mouth. Okay, we're going to go 1 more each side. We're going to finish back in the center. Then we're just going to drop the ear towards the shoulder. Side to side, trying to keep the rest of the body still. If you want, you can close your eyes for these. It should feel quite nice. Remembering to breathe. Okay, we're going to go 1 more each side. We're going to finish back in the center. And then we're just going to tuck our chin in towards our chest. And lift that back up and just tilt the chin back slightly. So we're just rolling through the neck just into the top of those shoulders. Okay, go 1 more each way. Finish back in the center. I'm going to do our lateral flexion. So I want you to think about growing tall in the spine. So we're lengthening that up towards the ceiling. I'm just going to lean side to side. So imagine you've got those 2 panes of glass in front and behind you. And you're just sliding between those panes of glass. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And keeping the movement nice and controlled. So we're not throwing ourselves side to side. Letting the arms be relaxed. Should feel a nice stretch down either side of the body. And we're going to go one more each side. I'm going to finish back in the centre. We're going to do our bow and arrow. So this is for our rotation. So breathing in, just floating the arms up to shoulder height. We're then going to bend our one arm towards our waist and we're going to twist that shoulder back. Bringing that back up into the centre. So in through the nose, out through the mouth, opposite side. Bring that back up. So we're trying to keep the hips forward. All the movement is coming from the upper part of the body. We're pulling that elbow down towards the waist, so we're keeping that close by. Breathing into the nose, out through the mouth. Twisting and pulling that shoulder back. One more each side. I'm going to finish back in the centre. I'm going to float the arms down. I'm going to do a little bit of ankle and knee rotation and mobilisation now. So if you need to be near a wall and place your hand on the wall for support, you can. We're going to transfer the weight into one leg. We're going to take the other leg forward and we're just going to twist the ankle round. So keep it nice and slow and controlled. Try and make the circle as big as you can. Think about pulling the toes up and then tucking the toes under as you go. And trying to keep the leg nice and still. And then going to go back around the other way. So we're tucking the toes in and around and then flaring them up as you go around. You got a little bit of toe mobility there too, just for the win. Okay, we're then going to place that foot back down. We're going to switch legs, so just transfer the weight onto the opposite leg, take that leg out front, and rotate the opposite ankle. Again, we're keeping that movement nice and slow and controlled. So we're really thinking about trying to draw the biggest circle we can with our foot. Pulling the toes up and then tucking them under as you go around. Still breathing. I'm going to go around the other way. Okay, we're going to place the foot back down. We're going to go back to that first leg and we're going to do our knee this time. So transfer the weight onto the one leg. I'm going to pick the leg up in a bent position. Now the leg is going to, the top thigh is going to stay exactly where it is. I want you to point your toe and think about drawing a circle on the floor. So it's kind of like a pendulum almost. So we're not moving the whole leg round. The upper part of the leg is staying nice and still. But we're just drawing a circle on the floor. Again, we're keeping that nice and slow and controlled. Try and make it the same tempo all the way around that circle. Once you've done the one way a few times, we're going to go back the other. So just draw the circle the opposite way. Okay, I'm falling over. I'm going to place that foot back down when you're ready. And we're going to go the opposite side. So transfer your weight over, pick that knee up and just draw that circle. Again, keeping the leg nice and still. If you want to place the hand on the top of that thigh to make sure it's not moving, you can do that. Again, if you want to stand near a wall and place your hand on the wall, you can. And keeping that toe pointed, drawing that circle. And then we're going to go back the opposite way. You might find one way is more difficult than the other. I do. I don't know why. Place that back down. Fantastic. So we're going to go back to that first leg. We're going to do our hips this time. So we're going to transfer our weight onto that opposite leg. We're going to pick the leg up. We're going to pick the knee up as far as we can. We're going to take it out towards the side. We're going to take that down. If you want to tuck the foot down on the floor, you can. And then we're going to bring that back in. So we're going to do a nice big circle with our knee. So we're going to try and keep it a nice smooth movement. So picking that knee up, taking it out, dropping it down, bringing that round. Breathing in through your nose, Breathing back out through your mouth. You may find it easier if you want to extend the arms out for balance. Or again, if you've got a wall nearby, you can use a wall or the top of a chair, whatever's handy. I wouldn't recommend using a pet, they're not very, or a child either. And we're going to go back the other way. So we're going to take that leg out, bring that up, bring that back down. Breathing in through your nose, breathing back out through your mouth. One last time. Placing the leg back down. You might need to give the legs a little bit of a shake. And we're going to do the opposite leg. So transfer your weight, bend that knee in front, find your balance, pick that knee up, take it out to the side, bring that round. So again, we're keeping the circles nice and slow and controlled, trying to get good range of motion. We're then going to go the opposite way. So take that leg out, pick the knee up, bring that in, drop that down. And this leg is a lot worse for me. My balance is terrible this side. Okay, we're going to do one more. And we're going to place that down. And again, just give your legs a little bit of a shake if you need to. Okay, we're going to do our roll down. So this is going to mobilise our spine again. So make sure you've got enough space in front of you. Check your setup, make sure your feet are roughly underneath your hips. We're lengthening up through our spine. We're going to breathe in through our nose, on the out breath. We're going to tuck the chin, roll the shoulders down. So let the arms hang loose. Take it about halfway, breathe in when you get here, and then breathe out and slowly bring that back up again. Finishing with the shoulders and the head. So breathing in, breathing out. Rolling that down. Maybe take it a little bit further this time. Keeping the belly button pulled in. Just relaxing the head as you go down. Lengthening the spine back up at the top. We're going to keep a nice bend in the knees as well, so we don't want to overstretch the hamstrings. We're really just trying to concentrate on the spine. Do one more, and we're going to finish on that halfway point down at the bottom. We're going to have the knees bent. I'm going to maybe place our hands on our elbows if you like that, just so it's a ragdoll position. Just give the head a bit of a wobble, breathing in through your nose, breathing back out through your mouth. Again, if you want to put a bigger bend in the knees here, you can. When you're ready, I'm going to come down into a kneeling position. And we're going to do our wrist mobility. So we're going to stay kneeling and we're just going to do a few wrist swirls first. So just roll the wrists under and then roll them back out. Just a couple of times each way. Fantastic. We're then going to place our hands flat on the floor in front of us. Now you can stay sat back on your feet if you haven't got much wrist mobility, or you can bring that further forward. So we're going to have the hands nice and flat. They're going to be roughly shoulder width apart. And all we're going to do is we're going to rock forwards and backwards over the hands. So think about keeping the arms nice and straight. We're keeping the movement slow and controlled as always. So we're not rushing into it, we're just slowly applying pressure forward and then bringing that back. Think about trying to press the knuckles of your hands into the floor so the palm is flat on the floor. Going to come back into that neutral mid position, and then we're going to take the weight side to side. So just rocking side to side on the wrists. Again, we're keeping the elbows nice and straight. Thinking about keeping the belly button pulled into the spine as well. We're making sure the rest of the posture is correct. Bring that back into a neutral position. We're then going to take the hands out to the side. And we're going to rock forwards and backwards a couple of times this way. Breathing into the nose, breathing out through the mouth. And come back into that neutral position, and then we're going to go side to side with the hands out. This may feel quite intense, so don't push it too far. Back into that neutral position. And then going to turn the wrists over. So once you put the back of your hands on the floor, you may need to bring the hands slightly further in towards you. And we're just going to pull that back slightly. So keeping the arms nice and straight. I don't know why I decided to leave my hair down because it's getting completely in the way. Hopefully you can see. Just pull that back slightly. You should feel a stretch down the arm and the top of the hand. Pull that forward, just release that off and back into the seated position. I'm going to interlace the fingers. I'm just going to roll that out a little bit. Taking a couple of breaths here. And you need to make sure your yoga block or whatever you're using is close by, because we're going to use that next. So if you've got a water bottle, that will do, something roughly that shape, DVD case, anything you like. We're going to stay in a kneeling position. If it's uncomfortable for you, you can do it in a seated position. I just find it's a little bit easier to be a bit higher up. We're going to take our yoga block lengthways in our hands. We're going to extend that out in front of us. Now we're going to keep our elbows locked out here. So no bending of the arms, keeping that nice and straight. I'm going to turn around slightly so you can see me. We're going to breathe into the nose. On the out breath, we're going to pick the shoulders up towards the ears. We're going to bring them back in towards us. We're going to push them down and we're going to bring them forward. And we're going to keep doing that. So we're not moving the body, we're just moving the shoulders and we're just rotating those round. So picking the shoulders up, bringing them back, pushing them forwards. This is an exercise I got from my friend Anna and it is absolutely fantastic. I love it. I just want to give her some credit. Now we're going to go the opposite way. So once you get into that neutral position, we're going to slide the shoulders down, bring them back, pick them up, push them forward. So we're keeping the upper body nice and still, just moving the shoulders around. The yoga block may not move very far at all. That's absolutely fine, but we're keeping the elbows straight. You'll probably find they're getting a little bit warmer now as well. Okay, 2 more. Place that yoga block back down. I just need to give your arms a little bit of a shake. We're going to do our kneeling thoracic rotation. So just keep the yoga block close by. I can't remember if we need it again, but we may do. So we'll have that near. We're going to be on all fours. So make sure your wrists are underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. We're going to take our left hand. We're going to place it where our left back pocket would be on our hips. This is to make sure our hips stay level and do not move through the whole exercise. I want you to think about pushing down through that right hand to keep the shoulder engaged. We're going to breathe in. On the out breath, we're just going to open the chest out. So we're bringing the shoulder back and we're bringing that back down. So breathing in, breathing out, pushing through the wrist, opening that shoulder. So the goal is to stack the shoulders one on top of each other. We're rotating to the top part of that spine. The hips aren't moving. They're staying exactly where they need to be. I'm going to do 2 more. So we should do roughly 6 on each side. And then I'm going to reset. So place the hand on the floor. Take that other hand, place that on the hip. Breathing in, pushing through that wrist. Breathing out, rotating that up. So just opening the chest up towards the side. Into the nose. Back out through the mouth. Trying to stack the shoulders one on top of each other. I'm still pushing down through the hand on the floor to keep the shoulders engaged. Doing 6 this side, so just a couple more. Place the hands back down. And we're going to come down onto the floor. So I am going to bend my legs because I haven't got much room. But if you can lay completely flat, fantastic. And we're going to do our shoulder ROM. So we have done this before. We're going to lay face down. We're going to extend our arms above our head. Palms are going to be down towards the floor. We're going to take a deep breath in. On the out breath, we're going to keep the arms straight. We're going to lift them up off the floor. So we're lifting from the shoulders. We're then going to take the arms round. Once they get to roughly 3 and 9 o'clock position, so level with our shoulders, we're going to turn the thumbs under. My yoga block is completely in the way. There we go. We're then going to take that all the way around. We're going to place the hands on the lower part of our back and we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades and we're going to lift the elbows slightly. And then place that back down and we're going to reverse that movement. So straighten the arms down, bring them round in that circle, turn the thumbs under, bring that up to the top, place them down on the floor. Just take a breath here and we're going to repeat this 2 more times. So I want you to breathe in through your nose, breathe out, lift the arms up, taking them round, turning the thumbs under, all the way around to the lower back, place the hands on the lower back, squeezing the elbows together, placing back down, reversing that movement. So bringing that round, tucking the thumbs, all the way up to the top, place that down. So one last time, so breathing in, breathing out, lifting the arms, taking them round, turning the thumbs under, all the way around to the back. Back of the hands, squeezing the elbows, placing that down, extending that out, and then bringing that back round again, placing them down. Just place the hands underneath the forehead for a second, take a couple of breaths. And then we're going to roll onto our side. So I need to make sure I've got enough room here. I'm going to go this way. Any problem with having the screen portrait is running out of space. Okay, so we're going to be on our side. Probably most comfortable to be laid down on your arm. It's completely up to you. You can be up on your elbow too. We're going to keep the leg underneath bent. And we're going to straighten that top leg. Make sure you've got enough room in front and behind you. So keeping the belly button pulled in, keeping the hips stacked, keeping the shoulders stacked. We're going to extend that leg forward. And then we're going to take that leg back. Now we're keeping this movement really slow and controlled. So it's not kicking. We're moving that leg forward and backwards. Now I want you to think about trying to keep the hips still. So when you come forward, we're not kind of doing any of this. And when we're going back, we're not doing any of this. So the whole top part of the body staying nice and still. If you want to place that top hand on your hip to make sure it stays where it's meant to, you can. We're keeping the leg nice and straight. And just moving it forward and bringing that back. Okay, go one more each way. We're going to bend the knee and we're going to do hip rotations, but being on our side this time. So we're going to keep that top leg bent this time. We're going to pick the leg up. We're going to bring that in towards us. And we're going to take that round all the way to the back and bring that back in. So bring the knee up, take that round. We're then going to twist the knee under slightly as we go. Bring that back round. So doing these nice hip circles but on the floor. Try to keep it one continuous movement. Breathing in through your nose. Breathing back out through your mouth. Trying to not have the hips roll either, so the hips are trying to stay where they are. Again, it's all coming from that hip socket. I'm going to do one more. And place that leg back down. We're going to switch sides. So get relatively comfy. Again, you can be lay out flat, or you can be up on your elbow, or somewhere in between. Make sure the shoulders are stacked, make sure the hips are stacked. We're going to extend that top leg, and we're just going to bring that forward, and then take that back. If you want to place that hand on the top hip, make sure the hips staying where they are. I'm trying to keep the foot off the floor the whole time. The leg doesn't need to lift very far up off the floor at all. It just only really needs to be just kind of maybe like a ruler's length, so just kind of a piece of A4 paper up off the floor. So we're keeping it relatively close to the floor, as long as it's lifted up off that leg. Drawing a nice line front to back with that leg. Okay, one more each side, one more front and back. We're going to bend that knee back in, and we're going to rotate that hip. So keep the knee nice and bent, make sure the hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked, belly button pulled in. Picking that knee up slightly, bringing that in towards you, taking that up and round, twisting the knee under, and then placing that back down again. Bringing that in, taking it up, twisting the knee under, placing that back down. Again, keeping it a nice, slow, controlled movement. Breathing in through your nose. Breathing back out through your mouth. We're going to do two more. Place the leg back down. Give that a bit of a rub and a pat. And just take a few minutes here, just to take a couple of breaths. You may just want to roll onto your back, tuck the knees in, just to stretch the glutes out, and just rock side to side slightly, just to release the lower back, release those glutes. I'm going to do a couple of hip rolls to finish, and a nice little spinal twist. So when you are ready, I'm going to turn around this way so you can see me better. You're going to place your feet flat on the floor. You're going to have your knees bent up. We're going to take the hands, we're going to interlace the fingers and place them on the bottom of the rib cage. This is going to kind of work like a seat belt for the rib cage. We're then going to take the knees just across slightly, roughly to a 1 o'clock position. Back into the centre, over to the other side to 11 o'clock. Back into the middle, all the way over, maybe to about 2 o'clock this time. Back into the center, all the way over to 10. So we're just letting the knees roll side to side. Hips are going to lift up off the floor slightly, keeping that movement slow and controlled. And this should feel quite nice. Okay, we're going to go one more each side. I'm going to finish back in the center. I'm just going to take our arms out to the side, pick that right leg up, cross it over our left, and let the knees drop towards the left hand side. Just take a couple of breaths here. Bring the knees into the center and cross the legs. Pick the opposite leg up, cross that over, and let the knees drop towards the opposite side. Bring the knees back into the center and cross the legs. And then we're just going to roll over to one side and push ourselves back up into that seated position. Just take a couple of breaths, bring your awareness back to yourself, back into the room. And thank you very much for joining us. Hope you have enjoyed it. If you do have any questions, anything like that, please drop them in the comments as always. And we'll see you again soon. Bye.